Okay, so Elon Musk, right? He says Neuralink is going to save the human race. Pretty bold statement, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's definitely a headline grabber. Gets the attention for sure.
It does. So for this deep dive, we're going all in on Neuralink, right into the core of it. We've got info that breaks down the actual tech and then, what the future with this thing might actually look like. Our mission today, to understand, really understand how this brain-computer interface thingy actually works. Plus, we'll explore where the whole medical benefit thing ends and where this human enhancement idea kind of kicks in. And of course, got to consider the downsides, the risks, for you, the listener. Then we'll wrap it up with a clearer picture of what might be coming down the line.
Sounds like a plan.
So let's jump in. What I find fascinating right off the bat is just the scale of what they're aiming for.
Right.
I mean, this isn't just a new iPhone or something, This is like a fundamental shift in how humans might interact with tech.
Yeah. And as we'll see, maybe even with their own minds.
Exactly. And it all comes down to this Neuralink chip. So picture this. It's smaller than a coin, but it packs over 1,024 electrodes. Imagine, 1,000 tiny little ears, all listening to your brain cells firing, your neurons.
Wow.
And to get those in, forget scalpels and stuff, they're using robots.
Really? Robots?
Yeah, robotic surgery to carefully weave those electrodes in, avoiding blood vessels and whatnot. It's insane. It's straight out of sci-fi, but real.
That's incredible.
And it's not just theory anymore. Back in early 2024, they had their first human trial. Someone paralyzed was actually able to play chess just by thinking. Think about that for a second. If you could control things with your mind right now, what's the very first thing you try?
Ooh, that's a good question. Makes you think, right?
It really does.
Yeah.
That direct connection from thought to action is pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, and it's important to be clear on what this tech isn't, I mean, our sources, they quote a Neuralink engineer who says, and I quote, "It's not mind reading, it's decoding movement intent. Think of it like a Bluetooth mouse for your brain," which I think helps a lot.
Totally. It brings it down to earth a bit. Takes it out of the super sci-fi zone and into something we can all kind of get our heads around.
Right.
And helping someone with paralysis. Huge achievement. But then you've got Elon Musk talking about, get this, consensual telepathy. That phrase throws a whole other wrench in the works, right? Makes you wonder about that fine line. Where does using this for real medical needs? Where does that stop and the whole transhumanism thing begin? Using tech to make humans better, stronger, faster than what's normal.
Right. And I think that raises a key point. What's the purpose here? What are we aiming to do with this?
Exactly.
So on one side, the medical possibilities, those are huge. Imagine someone with Parkinson's. We already have implants to manage tremors, but this, Neuralink could be way more sophisticated.
Right.
Or think about severe depression. Adjusting those brain circuits directly, precisely, that could be life-changing for so many people.
Absolutely. But then our sources bring up these other, more expansive ideas.
Expansive? How so?
Well, like memory backups. Imagine saving your skills, memories, your whole life to some digital cloud.
Whoa.
And then there's brain streaming. Basically, sharing your thoughts, your feelings even, right onto social media.
Yeah.
It's a massive jump from, medical therapy to something else entirely.
It is. And that blurring of lines brings up some big ethical questions, which our sources get into. For example, should we be treating mental illness with brain chips if it means corporations could get their hands on our emotional data?
That's a big one right there.
Huge privacy implications. And then on the enhancement side, if you could just download a skill, be a concert pianist or speak Mandarin, just like that, would you do it? It sounds tempting, but, what do you lose by not actually learning, struggling, growing with that skill?
It makes you question what makes you you, doesn't it?
It really does.
Which brings us to, and our sources touch on this too, the risks. We think of our brains as these super resilient things, but one source puts it bluntly, your brain isn't a smartphone. What happens when hardware meets wetware?
Oof. Yeah, good point. I mean, we're talking about sticking tech into living tissue. That comes with its own set of potential problems.
Right.
Think about scar tissue. Your body wants to protect itself.
Right.
So it might build up around the electrodes over time, mess with the signals.
And the chip itself, it's tiny, sure, but it's still an electronic device.
Oh, that's true.
Our sources talk about the risk of it overheating, like a little CPU running in your head.
Yeah.
And then there's the immune response. What if your body freaks out, attacks the chip? Could that lead to inflammation, maybe even speed up dementia? We just don't know yet.
That's a lot of unknowns. And it begs the question, would you risk brain damage for, superhuman powers?
Yeah.
Where's your line?
It's a tough one, for sure. And to highlight how much we just don't know yet, there's a quote from a neurosurgeon in one of our sources, and it's pretty sobering. They say, "We're flying blind. Even pacemakers, way simpler devices, took decades to perfect, and those don't plug into consciousness."
That puts it in perspective. The brain is complex.
No kidding.
And speaking of potential downsides, we have to talk about privacy. I mean, so much of our lives is already tracked online, but as one source puts it, and this is kind of creepy, Facebook knows what you like. Neuralink could know what you love, fear, or dream.
Yeah, that's a little unnerving.
For sure. Like, imagine that kind of personal info in the wrong hands.
Don't even.
I know, but our sources, they outline some pretty disturbing possibilities.
Okay, so what are we talking?
What if someone could blackmail you, threaten to delete a skill, like your math ability or a language?
Oh, wait.
Or even worse, ads injected directly into your brain, like bypassing your awareness completely.
Okay, that's nightmare fuel right there.
It is. And then there's the idea of a thought police catching illegal ideas before you even do anything.
It's scary how quickly this stuff goes from cool tech to dystopian, you know?
It does. Makes you wonder, if Neuralink could erase, like, traumatic memories, would you do it? Even if it changed who you are?
Oh, that's deep. Because those memories, even the bad ones, they've shaped you.
Right. It raises the question, how should brain data be protected? Like medical records? Or will it be bought and sold like our browsing history?
Big difference there. Like
Yeah.
huge implications for all of us. So let's get speculative for a bit. A lot of our sources do this, looking way down the line. Let's play future predictor here. Which scenario seems most likely to you?
Oh man, that's tough. There are a lot of possibilities here.
Right. Our sources paint three main pictures of the future with Neuralink. First, there's the utopia. Everyone's connected, like a hive mind, no more wars, disease is gone, people live twice as long.
It's pretty idyllic.
It does. Then there's the dystopia.
The flip side?
Yeah. A neural poverty gap opens up haves and have-nots based on who can afford these brain upgrades. And then there's AI. Maybe it starts assimilating humans. We become like accessories to the machines.
Not as appealing.
Definitely not. But some sources go even further, call it something weirder. Digital immortality, living on in a clone, or even new senses like seeing Wi-Fi or tasting electricity.
Okay, now that's getting pretty wild.
Right. It's the most out there scenario for sure.
So we've got utopia, dystopia, and the totally bizarre. Makes you wonder, would you want to live forever digitally? What even makes you? And, you know, something a little closer to home, if your kid could get a Neuralink for perfect grades, would you let them?
That hits close to home for a lot of people, I bet. It's like, where's the line between helping your kid and changing who they are?
Big questions.
Massive. And honestly, we could talk about this for hours, but, you know, time's up for this deep dive.
Yeah.
But it feels like this is just the beginning of the conversation, wouldn't you say?
Totally. We're just scratching the surface. What do y'all think?
Yeah, weigh in on those last couple questions. We'd love to hear your take.
And just to recap, would you volunteer for a Neuralink trial? Why or why not? And what's the one thing you'd never let a brain chip change about you? Let us know.
Thanks for joining us on this Neuralink deep dive. Sweet
Yeah.
dreams. And maybe think twice about leaving that router on tonight.
Good night.